So I sent a post to the various lists saying that there are two big forces going on. Well, multiple forces, one of which is quite small, and that's me, making the prediction that within 25 years, Tech Live will provide tech running in the web browser, and that this will become a mainstream way of using tech. There's an interesting part of the prediction is that, which I didn't state, is that the forces for this are coming from outside the traditional tech community. And the positive side of that is that it's new forces, and I think stronger forces. And the negative side of it is that potentially it's a breakage in the community. And to a certain extent, my activity is involved in trying to create a sort of bridge, if you like. So that's the context, and the forces were first uncovered in approximately 1995, 97, the time of the big Microsoft antitrust lawsuit, where they were accused of squashing Netscape, which in later times became Mozilla and Firefox. And the judge knew what was going on when he said that Microsoft were frightened that the web browser would become a platform, and that people would develop for the platform that is the web browser rather than the platform that is Microsoft Windows.
I think that's certainly come to pass with the social media sites and search engines and so on. Many people spend much of their time interfacing with the browser, which certainly does mean that the operating system underneath has little significance to them.
Yes, so part of Microsoft's strategy was to bundle their internet browser with the Microsoft Windows operating system and give it pride of place, if you like, in terms of the access to it from the user. The user doesn't have to go and install a separate piece of software. And then there are other features such as conformance to standards and Microsoft having privileged access and information regarding the Windows operating system. And the lawsuit had its consequences and various things were done about browsers and so forth. But the thing that really changed the situation, I think, was Google introducing the Chrome browser, and steadily and over time, it has supplanted Microsoft as the leading browser. And that was a business decision, like pretty much every decision of Google. And they wanted a platform to grow their business, and they wanted the web browser to grow their business. So the fear that Microsoft had came about, but with a delay. Microsoft's fear was that Netscape would steal their business and become a rival. What in fact happened was that Google became a rival without really stealing any business from Microsoft at all, as far as I can tell. But Google became a rival, and as part of its expansion, being a cloud-based company, they wanted to have strength in the browser, both the browser being strong for users and their, if you like, influence control over browsers being strong. And they introduced something called NaCl, which is native code, which was a hack that allowed you to run native code within the browser. and it was a proprietary non-standard, but it became what's called WebAssembly. And the key thing about that is that it allows you to run code in the browser that runs at close to native speed, even though technically it's a form of JavaScript once the standards have been set up. And that's become very powerful, and it's called WebAssembly. And there's a tool chain called LLVM, and I don't remember what it is, but that allows ordinary code written in C to be compiled to LLVM, and then you put a JavaScript backend that writes to WebAssembly, and there you are. You've got a tool chain that takes Linux, for example, the Linux kernel, and compiles it to something that can run in the browser. So it's now quite common to get implementations of Linux that run in a browser, and the performance is terrible, or at least if you're doing any serious work, it's terrible. For interactive work, I think it's just fine. And one of the links I put out yesterday, was for an implementation of Python that runs in the browser. And rather than being simply a proof of concept implementation, because those already exist, it's intended that it will do real work and that will allow you to import Python modules and, in general terms, function as a real part of the Python ecosystem. And that includes NumPy, which is not a pure Python module. It's got a lot of C code called through wrappers. And one of the intentions is that there be an in-browser platform that allows you to do data science documents, to do data science and produce reports.